want to get married. He doesn't have to get married. He may want marriage, just not with her. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I Am Patience. And in today's video, we are going to have a discussion using a call from the Dave Ramsey show. I see that a lot of you have been enjoying these, and I think it's also good examples, real life examples of what can happen if you don't take financial literacy and financial planning seriously. So I've really been enjoying taking these calls, as heartbreaking as they are, working our way through it to give examples of what could happen, why you should avoid making certain decisions. And we've already done about 2 examples on retirement, and I wanted to bring another one up on cohabitation and what can happen when you start cohabitating and combining finances with somebody you are not married to. This one will be less combining and more focused on the cohabitation aspect of it. But in today's world, a lot of people cohabitate without even thinking about it. They start dating and they think the next step is to move in together. And economically speaking, when we're talking about the rent savings, the money you could save living with somebody, it's understandable. Paying for 1 bedroom each, let's say $1,500 a pair, is expensive. And if you move in together, maybe you can get a 2-bedroom for about $2,000, $2,500. So you're saving some money, as well as other fees that you could be paying on top of those. So there's a lot of savings that could go in with moving in with somebody you're not married to. That does not mean it's a good idea. It has never been, and it will never be. At least for me, I do not agree with it for many different reasons, but this call is going to show us one of the reasons why you should not be moving in with somebody you're not married to, especially if you are not planning on getting married, or they don't have plans of committing to you and getting married in the near future. Now, I have a video called Financial Mistakes Never to Make, and I talk about not cohabitating, not starting a business or co-signing loans, taking out car loans, personal loans, credit cards, bank accounts with somebody you're not married to, essentially avoiding combining finances and living together. And not everybody agrees with that. That's okay, but there's a reason why a lot of financial advisors will advise against that. And this call that we're going to go through is not going to come from a place of judgment, but rather from us learning. It's good to learn from other people's mistakes. It's good to learn from our own mistakes, but learning from other people's mistakes is even better and cheaper. Saves us on a lot of emotions, stupid taxes, and overall mess that we would have gone through, but we can just avoid. So let's go through this call. I'll stop it here and there to break down certain things, and in the end, we can go over some lessons that we can take from this.
So my question essentially is, how do I not feel guilty or selfish for wanting to sell my house?
Why would you feel guilty or selfish? Well, I need more.
Yeah, tell us more.
We got you.
So the house is mine. The house is mine. It's in my name. Sorry.
It's okay.
Hey, Brenda, take a big, big, deep breath, as deep as you can, all the way to your guts.
I'm going to do it too.
Hold it. 3, 2, all right, now let it out.
Okay.
All right, pull your shoulders all the way down. I can hear them up by your ears. Hold them all the way down.
Yeah. So the house is mine. And there is 7 of them. We're a household of 7, essentially. I have my 2 boys and then my boyfriend with his 3 boys. If I decided to sell my house, it would be because I want to pay off my debt, and it would bump me into baby step 4, 5, and 6. It would cause everybody to move, and essentially my boyfriend would have to, do his thing, but he'd have to pay more out of pocket as well for his living situation. So selling my house would really only benefit me in this picture.
She seems like a nice lady, talking about it will only benefit you. No, it will benefit you and your children, as it should. That's your boyfriend, as you call him. He's not your husband. And that might seem like a selfish thing, but if you're not combined with somebody legally, then you should not be financially as well. There's nothing wrong with you selling your house that you made it clear that your name is on it. Even if he's giving you a little something for rent, it's him paying his living expenses for him and his 3 boys. You have 2 children, he has 3. They're even taking more part of the house. You know, the house is benefiting him way more than it is benefiting you. Not to say that's not a blessing onto you, but my point is he does have 3 children, which is 1 more than you have. I don't know what the bedroom situation is like, but hopefully if it's not 50-50, he's hopefully even paying slightly more because you're not married. It's not a blended family. This is plain house. And unfortunately, your kids are caught up in the middle. But there's nothing wrong with you selling your house that has your name on it to benefit you and your children. Now, if you were married, it would be a different scenario. You have to consider your husband and your new children. And you're going to be making decisions as a family because you are a family. Right now, you are not. You're a family with your 2 boys. He's family with his 3 kids. And y'all are just playing house.
And
Why hasn't he married Jen yet?
He won't.
Okay.
Oh, how long have you been together?
3.5 years.
Okay. He has forced you to take care of you.
This is the problem with cohabitating. People would go on and on and on about cohabitating. You have to know how to live with somebody before you marry them. You have to know this person for 10 years before you marry them. And he would not marry her, but he doesn't mind living with her. Does that make sense to y'all? He doesn't want to marry her. He doesn't want to commit to her. But he has no problem living in her house. And she's thinking about him and his children and how moving will cost them more. But he doesn't care about how she feels. And this is why it's important not to rush the process of getting to know somebody and working towards marriage. Because had she waited and I moved in with him, this would have all been an easy, cleaner break. She wouldn't have to think about where he's going to live with his kids. They could have just been like, okay, this is not working. You don't want marriage. I want marriage. Let's just call it the end and go our separate ways. And that's it. They would never have to see each other ever again. But now she's tied to him because he's living in her house with his kids. And his kids have become her children. And her children are tied to his kids and they are already playing family. It's going to become so complicated because it's going to be like another breakup or another divorce. I don't know if she was divorced or he was divorced or, you know, their situation prior to getting together, but it's going to almost be like a divorce, but without even the legal clean break. And this is another reason why people who are cohabitating have a lower satisfaction rate than those who are actually married and living together. Because more often than not, there's one person who wants to get married and the other person who feels like marriage is just a piece of paper. We don't need to rush things. We're already living together. It's like we're already married. And oftentimes, that's the woman who wants to get married and the guy is on the fence because you're like married, like he's already living with you, he's already getting all the wifey benefits. Why take the extra step to make it legal when nothing's going to change for him? But for her, it's about security and other things, and there are legal protections for both sides when they do get married. But oftentimes women who are cohabitating are less happy, they are more stressed, they have overall lower satisfaction in their relationship, which affects their life. Oftentimes when they have children together, it will make it an even longer stay, but luckily they don't have children together in this situation.
And so all you're doing is what a responsible adult would do when another adult says, I want to make a commitment with you. I want to play house and I want to have all the benefits of being with you without commitment. And he's forcing you to have to take care of you as a single mom, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Your instincts are right. John, stop me at any point. But in my mind, I'm like, there's no together. There is no us.
Yeah.
So why do you want me to operate out of an us? You've made it very clear.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at. The 2 kids. So you said he's got 3 boys that are his and you've got 2 boys that are yours?
There is no us, and that's the truth. Legally speaking, it's not recognized. If one of them passed away today, they would just be as good as roommates. There is nothing tying them together. It's fine if he doesn't want to get married. He doesn't have to get married. She should not force him to get married to her if he doesn't want to. He may want marriage, just not with her. That's fine. But he should move out and she should do what's best for her and her family at the moment because that's the priority.
Yeah.
You guys have any children together?
No.
Listen,
No.
this is a major red flag and I am,
Okay.
for me, it's a no.
Brenda, there's something else going on. What is it?
I think I just need that validated. In talks that I've
There's something else going on here. What is it?
If,
Is he safe?
He's a bully.
yeah, no, we're safe. We just don't. I mean, like you said, he hasn't committed. He won't commit. He's made comments that he will never put a ring on it. So I know that that's there. I just don't like the idea of moving and uprooting my children.
But you don't have to uproot your family. You can call the police and have them remove somebody from your home.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be that simple. But see the problem? If they were married, the courts will take care of that during the divorce processes. But now she has to go through so many different ways to try and get him out. And he obviously doesn't respect her as a person, and he doesn't respect her boundaries. When she asked him to move out, he did not move out. He ignored her. And I always say that the people who do not respect your boundaries are the people who benefit from you not having any. Obviously, he was benefiting from the fact that she didn't have a boundary, and she had the requirement of her saying that, okay, you can only move into my house if we are married. But he moved in there, and now he's not even respecting her when she's the one who owns the house. That's ridiculous.
No, we're not. It's not unsafe. It's not an unsafe.
No.
Ma'am, I don't know about you, but I watch true crime. This sounds like something that's set up for a true crime show. I'm not putting out there. I hope she's truly safe. I pray she's truly safe. But she doesn't understand the danger she could be in. We will dive more into that towards the end.
Anybody
He's broken up with you. He won't leave.
that's a bully move. Like, I'm not saying that he's like screaming at you and beating you or something, but I'm saying that if I've asked a male to leave my home and he won't leave, it's because he knows, and you can't make me. That's after the ...
And I wonder how old the kids are, because essentially it's like 4 guys versus her and her 2 sons. So she's even outnumbered in her own home. And that's where I'm concerned for her safety. I know she thinks that he's safe and everything, but when you look at the statistics for the likelihood of you being unalived or hurt by somebody, it's the people closest to you. It's your spouse, somebody you used to be in a relationship with, somebody who is close to you. This is unfortunately setting up such a familiar pattern that I'm scared for her.
I gotcha.
I have bigger muscles and you can't push me out of here. And that's what 911 is for.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds ridiculous, but Jade and I do this for a living. Deal with hot-headed men that think they can push women around.
Yeah.
He has broken up with you. He has looked you in the eye and said, there is no future for us. But I'm going to live here. I'm going to get what I want when I want, and you're going to pay for my sons to grow up in your house.
Yeah, I think in his eyes, he hasn't broken up with me because he thinks everything's fine, even though I'm the one telling him.
But do you see that?
The good thing is that he has made his intentions clear, ma'am. Fortunately, unfortunately, it is almost 3 years in. The unfortunate part is that you have wasted 3 years. The fortunate part is you have only wasted 3 years, not 10. The fortunate part is also that you don't have kids with him, because the more women have kids with these guys, the longer they stay. This is your time to get out. The writing is on the wall. At this point, if you stay and you're expecting him to marry you, that is a you problem. And that is something that you will have to take accountability for. But he has already made his stance clear. He said he would never marry you. Those were your words, telling strangers on the radio of something that he has said to you. He would never marry you. You're obviously emotional about it. This is probably not the first time he said it. This is probably the first time you're really hearing him, because he's probably been telling you with his words and actions. So you have heard it. Take action now.
To move out.
Do you see the disrespect there, or just the lack of even hearing or seeing you?
I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
Your gut's right.
Okay.
You have two strangers validating you. But if you want to sell this house and get out of debt, we'll talk you through that. But I don't want you selling your house to run away from him, because it's your house.
And the 2 strangers on the radio validating her, it's not because they just hear a woman and they were like, oh yes, let's jump to conclusions. No, this is a tale as old as time. Maybe not as old as time, but at least in the past like 50 years, this has become super common. And so once you've heard it once, twice, 3 times, you probably heard it all. But the patterns are very familiar. Heard about the 10, 15, 20, and even 30-year girlfriend who are hoping they will finally get married. This is a pattern, and they know that he's not going to marry her. He's made it very clear. They didn't even try to figure it out, like, could he possibly, whatever. The man has made his voice and his actions and his value system clear with her as to what their relationship is going to look like in the future, which is that there is no future. So all they can do now is repeat it to her and tell her to look at the writing on the wall and to actually make decisions that will benefit her and her children, who are her responsibility.
Financially, I should sell it as well. The mortgage and housing expenses take up 50% of my income.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sell the house. Sell it.
So I just felt like if I sold it, I could pay off all my debt and
And then what will you do? Rent an apartment or rent a house?
I'd probably rent a house for 2 years.
Okay.
Or so.
Have you priced that out? Because rent is super high.
Especially in Phoenix.
Right, but it's less than what I'm paying now.
How much
And
less?
I'd have my mortgage is $3,400, so I can probably get a 3-bedroom house, I think, for $25,000.
And what's your take-home pay every month?
I gross $100,000, so take home is probably $6,500.
Okay. Yeah, I want you looking at those numbers really closely. We're going to set you up with every dollar so that you can see those numbers, because I want you knowing exactly how much money you bring home every month.
And it doesn't sound like she's grossly financially irresponsible. I mean, she has debt. I wish we'd go more into that to find out what the debt is, how much it is. But after all, she's making a great income. And so it's not a situation where it's like she's living in his house and he's financially supporting her and she's doing nothing, so he doesn't see a value in marrying her. There is just something about her that he is not looking for in a wife. But I don't think it's that he doesn't want to get married or he doesn't want to have a loving relationship in his life. I think he just doesn't respect her and he doesn't want that from her. And she makes a great income. That's a top 18% of the US salary. So she should definitely be putting herself in a good financial situation. If she has to sell the house, she should. If it's taking up so much of her income, she doesn't want to be house poor, especially having 2 children who rely on her. And there's nothing wrong with renting. And I think that's a good decision depending on your financial state, the housing market. Renting right now in a lot of places is cheaper than actually buying a house. And it sounds like that's the same for her. So she should go ahead and make the move.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I
that's
have
gonna get you
every
closer.
dollar.
Oh, you do? Very cool.
I have the premium version. I just don't have. I didn't have that number in front of me.
Okay, no
The number
worries.
I don't have.
No worries. Yeah, I think that renting is a good idea, I think, to get you out of this, because long term, unless you told me, yeah, I see a path, Jade, to where in a year this will be different for me financially, but if you don't see that, then yeah. How long have you lived in the house?
She's been living in this house 2.5 years. At the time, she really thought that this was gonna work. It was very early on, obviously. So she thought that maybe within a year or 2 they'll get married. And come to find out, that's not what he wanted in his life. And this is also why you shouldn't be rushing to relationships. You should be having important conversations and definitely don't rush to move in together.
Okay. Yeah, I
Are
do
you
that.
going to make any money on it?
Yeah, it should come out with about $150,000.
Okay, great.
So let me confirm what your boyfriend says about you. Yes, you're being selfish. You're taking care of you. And that is 100% the position he has put you in.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a position he's put her in. I think that's the position she just naturally is in. That's the stage she is in her life. And trying to act one way, like your partner, legally, versus what you are, which is legally single, is what is putting her in this situation. I don't necessarily think that is the boyfriend. Now, should he take some accountability for probably leading her on, probably misrepresenting what the relationship could be? Sure, but he's not responsible for her having to take care of her 2 children and possibly sell a house. She probably bought a house that was way too much house for the 3 of them. But whether she was ending this relationship for another one, or she was just single, or if she called and instead she had no children and still the house was 50% of her take-home pay, yeah, she would still have to sell the house. Even if somebody disagree and say that she's leaving them houseless, it doesn't really factor into so much of this. He's responsible for his responsibilities and she's responsible for her responsibilities.
And as a mom, that is your job to take care of you and your boys, period.
Thank you so much.
When you sell this house, I want you to get the best possible help and get top dollar. So I want you to go to rs.com/agent and find one of our real estate pros to help you with this, okay?
They're going to get you hooked up.
And I like what John said at the end about her responsibilities as a mother And that's what she needs to focus on, because she's not a wife. So she doesn't need to be focusing on wife responsibilities when she's not a wife. And there are really no responsibilities for a girlfriend. So he needs to move out and she needs to focus on being a present mother and doing what's best for her and her children. Let's look at some of these comments. I always love reading comments when I watch videos. And the first comment does not disappoint. It says, no one falls in love quicker than a man that needs a place to stay. And the love is in quotations. That is so true. It's called homosexuals. Have you heard of it? It's like somebody who gets into a relationship with the primary purpose of having a place to live. A homosexual. He might be that. The next comment says, no children together. Lady, run away. I could not agree more. And I hope they're not engaging intimately together, because that could be a time where if he wanted to keep her around longer, he could get her pregnant. Would he? I don't know him, so I can't say. But baby trapping is a thing. Ma'am, get away, and get away as fast as you can. The next comment says, another great example of why cohabitation is not the same as marriage. Some people agreeing, some people disagreeing, saying that, oh, but marriage is also end. It's not the same. Another comment says that cops aren't going to throw him out. He lives there. She needs to evict him. And with that, let's actually segue into my main points that I got from this. So the first set of notes is, what is wrong here? One being that they're not married, they're playing house with their children, unfortunately. How this can affect their children in the future. And I hope they never do this again, especially her, because that is setting a bad precedent for her children. To have this man who is not legally your stepfather probably coming in and acting like a father figure. The next problem is that it sounds like they're broken up. They're not in a relationship together. She asks him to move and he will not move. So he doesn't respect her. That's a huge problem. The next problem is that he will probably not just move, because if he knows anything about the law, especially the law of being tenants, I don't know if he signed something, but if he has already established a residence there, which I'm pretty sure he can prove by bringing in mail. He's been living there for like 2 years. That's essentially his place of residence. So she can't just call the police and have him removed. She's probably going to have to evict him. The next problem, of course, is the problem for the kids as they're going through the separation. There's going to be so much transitions and therefore instability, at least for a period of time, before the children can adjust, depending on their ages. Hopefully they're not too young, because that can make it way tougher. It sounds like they have to at least be 3 years and up, but this can cause instability for the children. And the last problem I saw here is that their values obviously do not align. She wants the marriage, she wants family, she wants legality. Sounds like she wants it with him, but he does not want it with her. Now let's give her props for things that she actually did right. Number one being that it's only her name on the deed, on the mortgage. That is amazing, meaning it is her house. It has been established that she is the owner of the house. It would be really interesting if she does end up calling the cops or going through the eviction process if he doesn't move soon. But it's great that she did not buy anything, any property with their names together. At least it didn't sound like it. Don't jump from the frying pan into the fire. And one of the ways people jump in is by combining finances. But she did not have combined finances. It didn't sound like it. It sounded like they still had things pretty separate. And same with the children. They don't have to split custody of a child or multiple children. So that's a great thing. But it sounded also like she's ready to move on. And he's slightly holding her back. But it's good that at least she has the first few steps of wanting to move on. But like I mentioned earlier, it could potentially be dangerous for her as well because of his potential anger when he realized that he can't ignore your request to move out anymore. It could also be the fact that now he has to move, pay more, not enjoying the benefits of a house versus probably having to move into an apartment. But it still doesn't sound like he wants a relationship with you. So that's not your problem. And so whatever she's doing, I hope she is safe. But the main point of this video was surrounding what we can learn. So what can we learn from this? One of the first things we can learn is do not cohabitate with people you're not married to. It's not like marriage at all. Especially as a woman, it can take a toll on you. The stats don't lie, the studies don't lie. So don't cohabitate with somebody you're not married to. Just wait. Next one is to make sure that they do have the same value system as you. They do want to get married. They're not here to waste your time and to waste their time as well, but mostly yours, because some people don't mind wasting their time as long as they're wasting yours too. So if this is the time where you have to break it off and move on, but don't hold on over and over again. I'm glad that it sounds like she's ready to move on. Hopefully she does. And so what if you're already cohabitating with your boyfriend or your girlfriend? It's never too late to separate, especially when that lease is coming to be over. Move out and move away. If I were y'all, do it as soon as possible. But also don't think having children in a relationship is going to solve the issue. And living together and getting a pet together and combining your lives before you're legally binded together. Don't jump from the frying pan into the fire, because the likelihood of you getting hurt is a lot. And my final concern, of course, is her safety. It'd be dangerous to move in with somebody you're not married to, prioritizing your family over the feelings of this man who clearly does not respect you. So with that, I'm bringing this video to an end. Thank you all so much. It was a sad call. A lot of our calls are sad, but it's always a good learning lesson. There are people who have gone through this. She's not the first one, and unfortunately she's not going to be the last one, but we can always learn from this so that we can avoid it as much as possible. Even if you're able to avoid, let's say 50% of this, not everything, it still adds up to changing the world. It's a slow process, and I know that if you're following these steps in the future, it will lead us to a place of financial security and financial independence. So thank you all so much again. Ring notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Like and comment on this video and share this video with anybody you think it will be helpful to. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.